lit this town like a fire in a blaze. Gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain.
Hey guys, how are we doing this evening? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hopefully you guys are having a great day today. What is it, Wednesday? Yes, it is, because I keep thinking it's Thursday, and it's not. So welcome in. Hopefully you guys are having a great hump day today, and you guys are ready to have a good live, because I am ready. I am ready to have a good live with you guys. But let's see who's in the chat. If you are new to the channel, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Tanya, or TitaniumBuilt. You can call me either or. And if you hear someone snoring in the background, that's just the dogs. I've got one dog like passed out over here. I've got one on the floor, and then I've got a cat over here with his leg kicked straight out. It's adorable. I love it. They all look like they're sleeping very peacefully. So if you hear some snoring, that's just the dogs. It's not me. It's not me. It could be though. Could be. Hey Ladybug, how you doing tonight? Hey Princess. Welcome in everybody. And if you guys would like to become a member of our wonderful channel, I will put the link in the chat and you guys can join if you'd like to. We'd love to have you. Hey Cyber Warrior. Welcome in everyone. Hey Michael. Hey Mary Beth. Hopefully you had a good day at work. Hey Willows. Might be falling asleep on us. The rent's paid, yeah. Yeah, finances can stretch out, that's for sure. Hey, baby girl. Welcome in. Hey, Tony. Hey, Lisa. It's good to see everybody. The new airmail came out today, and I was like, oh, look at that. We've got something to read. It's only a 5-minute read, too, so it's not too long like he normally does. Hey, Shells. Hey, Boone. Caught alive. Yes, she did. Hey, Pete. And I'm going through, and if I miss you, just say, hey, you missed me. Hey, Lenora, because sometimes I miss people. I think I do anyway. Hey, Cassie, never caught alive here before. Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. Hey, Tina. Hey, Lisa from Mississippi. Dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches. Well, welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. Baby girl's here. We got everybody here tonight. Tina, good evening. Hey, Triple L. Hey, Dawn. It's good to see you. Hey, Olga. Well, I think I got through it. I think I got there, everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Hello, hi, and welcome. I'm going to pin the link to the chat or the membership link at the top. That way, if you guys would like to become members, you'll know where to go. Hey, Jesse's girl. If you guys don't mind, just take a second, smack, your DNA on that like button. Let's get into the algorithm tonight, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll get started with tonight's live. So, I wanted to read over the airmail article, and as I was reading over it, it kind of spawned onto different the same topics, but it just became alive in itself. So what I was going to do is just go over the airmail article and then go back and do like the timeline that we were reviewing. That I thought, why not just go over his Bryan Kohberger, Bryan Kohberger's time at DeSales University, because there's a couple questions that I have. Like some where people were saying that he did that, like a lot of it was online, and I'm not sure. I'm really not. I know that he graduated there and then moved on, but I'd like to know a little bit more about it. I guess it's a small little college. I didn't even know that much. I couldn't tell you the first thing about it, really. So we're going to learn tonight. Hey, Ozzy, welcome in. We're going to learn a little bit anyway. So let me grab. So I went over to Grok, of all things. I've never used it before, and I put in Bryan Kohberger's life at DeSales or something like that. And this is what it popped up with. So I thought we'd go over this, and then we'll go over the airmail article and then go on from there. But I thought it was pretty interesting, actually, what it came up with. This kind of spooky. It's going to be taking over my research. That's my job. I'm just kidding. This would never take over my research, but it does give me something to read from and give you guys. It gives me like a focal point, and it'll help me read it to you guys. But if you guys don't know a lot about his college experience, every time that they bring up the victims and they bring up Bryan, they bring up that he was getting his PhD in Washington State. Like I don't know, like not to take from him or anything, but at the same time, kind of, yeah. I mean, his dumbass allegedly knifed 4 people. So we're not going to give him too much credit. But let me fix my chair before I get to reading. Let me go down. Let me go all the way up. Okay. But Bryan Christopher Kohberger, he attended DeSales University in Center Valley, Pennsylvania, where he earned his bachelor's degree in psychology in 2020 and a master's degree in criminal justice in June of 2022. During this time at DeSales, Kohberger was described as an academically strong but socially awkward student who often kept to himself. Below is an overview of the life at DeSales based on available information. So academic life, his degrees and studies. Kohberger pursued a bachelor's degree in psychology, followed by a master's in criminal justice. His studies focused on criminology, and he was noted as a diligent student. Michelle Bolger, an associate professor at DeSales, described him as one of my best students ever, and one of only 2 students she recommended for a PhD program in her 10 years of teaching. And I don't know if you guys saw a picture of her. I remember there was, I'm sure I can look it up, but I remember people were like questioning, like she was very young. I wonder how long she had been working there. So coursework and assignments, let me know if you guys know that, because she was fairly young. Kohberger took courses such as forensic investigation, taught by Professor Dave Sepp, which we're going to read a paper that he did for that, who retired in 2024. This is what we're going to read. The notable assignment was a 12-page paper titled Crime Scene Scenario Finale, written on May 5th, 2020, which detailed a hypothetical crime scene investigation involving a stabbing death. This paper has drawn attention as prosecutors in his murder trial intend to use it to demonstrate his knowledge of crime scenes. So we're going to go over that tonight. Research interest. Kohberger showed a keen interest in the psychology of crime. In 2022, he posted on Reddit identifying himself as a student investigator at DeSales, seeking ex-cons to participate in a study on how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. The study, approved by DeSales Institutional Review Board, included questions about choosing victims and post-crime thoughts. Facilities and training. DeSales provided state-of-the-art facilities, including a mock murder house where students could practice forensic and investigative skills. Kohberger had access to these resources, which were designed to prepare students for careers in forensics and law enforcement. I didn't have that when I went to school. That would have been pretty cool to have, because you need to learn. Like, I went to school for criminal justice and we didn't have that. But we did get really cool kits. I'll tell you that. I remember when it came, my dad was like messing with it. Like before, I was like, that's for school. Like, get out of that. My dad was a funny guy. Notable professors. So Kohberger studied under Dr. Catherine Ramsland, a renowned forensic psychologist and serial killer expert. Ramsland declined to comment on Kohberger after his arrest. And we're going to hear more about her in the Airmail article. Apparently, Howard Bloom or Blum or however you pronounce it, he knows people that are giving them information. So we'll take that with a grain of salt, but he does put some stuff out. So social life and behavior, personality, and interactions. Kohberger was often described as reserved, awkward, and intense. Classmates noted his tendency to stare and his lack of emotional expression. One classmate recalled him as very leveled and somewhat imposing, with careful speech but little emotion. Another student, Brittany Slavin, said his interest in serial killers and crime scene analysis seemed normal within the context of their criminology curriculum. Well, yeah, I mean, he's going to school for criminology, criminal justice. You would think that he would have some sort of fascination with it, but I think he had a little bit more than most. Collaborations. Kohberger worked with a classmate, Josh Ferrero, and we'll hear from him tonight, on a biology project about water fleas in 2018 during his undergraduate studies. Ferrero described him as a little odd, but not someone he suspected of violent tendencies. Ferrero was shocked when Kohberger was later arrested, recalling their semester-long collaboration as unremarkable. He actually asked him to be his partner. Like, he asked Bryan to be his partner, so I wonder what was remarkable about him at the time for him to say, hey, I want you to be my partner for this research study. Like, this is part of our overall grade. I mean, I don't know. I don't like working with people, so I would just be like, I'm like a Kohberger in a way. I mean, I like to be by myself. Like, I don't like to work with people. So I'm like, when we had group projects in school, I was one of those people. I'm like, can I just do it all? That's probably bad to me, but that's how I am. So it says, incidents at local businesses. While at DeSales, Kohberger frequented Seven Sirens Brewing Company in Center Valley. Female staff reported that he made creepy comments, prompting them to note his behavior in their system. He reportedly asked probing questions about where staff and customers lived and became upset if ignored. I'm not standing. My watch just said I got my stand going and I wasn't standing. So that I don't know. Perception by faculty. Boyce Jublin, a psychology professor and research supervisor, described Kohberger as a little awkward with his peers and someone who liked to work alone. Despite this, his academic performance stood out. Extracurricular and community involvement. So, psychology conference in 2019, Kohberger participated in a psychology conference hosted by Muhlenberg College in Allentown. I know Allentown. Indicating his engagement in academic events beyond DeSales. Local employment. While studying, Kohberger worked part-time as a security guard at Pleasant Valley School District from 2018 to 2021. In 2018, he was credited with helping save a hall monitor during an asthma attack, earning local recognition. And I think that he just sat there with her while the other guard ran and got her inhaler or something. I can't remember I remember looking up the exact story. Like, we had to go back and look for it because it wasn't out whenever we first heard about it. Like, there was no story about it. So we went back and looked in their archives or whatever. But it says context and aftermath background. Kohberger grew up in Upper Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, and attended Pleasant Valley High School before earning an associate degree in psychology from Northampton Community College in 2018. His family was active in St. John Lutheran Church, and he was raised and with strong religious ties. Okay. Move after graduation. After completing his master's degree in June 2022, Kohberger moved to Pullman, Washington to pursue a PhD in criminology at Washington State University. He was arrested in December 2022 in connection with the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. University's response to DeSales University issued a statement expressing devastation at Kohberger's arrest, emphasizing their Catholic, Salesian values, and offering prayers for the victims' families. Didn't say prayers for Kohberger's family. Wow. So the information, okay, this just tells where it was drawn up from. So that's all I have for that. But pretty interesting stuff that they can come up with. Hey, Squeaky. Hey, Fred. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, Lake Girl. Oh, really? It's really big. I know Allentown. My dad used to talk about Allentown. My mom and dad are from Philadelphia. I'm from Philadelphia, but we moved to Ohio when I was a little girl. But I know all these little like areas, like the Poconos. My mom's been there. She said, actually, I don't know if it's still like that, but that's where rich people lived. But I don't know. I just remember her telling me that, like, that's where, like, if you had money, you went to the Poconos. But yeah, I don't know. She was also, this was in the 70s, so. Okay, so Howard Bloom, I guess he didn't get fired from, airmail. He's still there because he's just working for Daily Mail as well, because he had wrote an article that we read the other day, and it was in Daily Mail. And I was like, oh, he's over here, but he's not. So that's where I got the picture. But this is the Eyes of a Killer Part 6. We've already went through the other parts. They are in the playlist. If you guys want to go back and, listen to those, I've read through every single one of them. Normally they are anywhere from like 22 to 28 minutes long. This one's 5 minutes. So I guess he couldn't think of all the crazy words in the dictionary to put in here tonight, because he usually does. So if you see me skipping a word, just mind your own. That's fine. Hey, Janet, welcome in. Hey, Garrett. Hey, Petunia. Hey, Wizard Walt. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start reading this, and then I'll look at the chat as I go along. Interrupt me if you guys need to. And if you guys don't mind, hit the like button for me. If you're just now joining us, welcome on in. We are talking about Bryan Kohberger. We just got through, just going through some of the stuff with him and him going through this, DeSales and DeSales University, his community involvement, social life, academic life, things of that nature. So that's all that you've missed if you're just now coming in. We're just getting ready to read the Airmail article that just came out. Oh, it came out on the 26th. How did I not see this? Because I've been looking for these. Okay, it came out on the 26th. I'm sorry. I thought it came out today. So it says, want to kill someone? Hate will get the job done every time. But then again, the heart has many resources. And in a pinch, love is all you need. All along, this has been the big question. Why? Why would someone fervently enter an off-campus home just before dawn and armed with a hunting knife savagely murder 4 University of Idaho students? Since the grim events of November 13th, 2022, it has been a perplexity that has fueled considerable speculation. And now a despairingly long 2.5 years later, with the trial of Bryan Kohberger, the 30-year-old criminal justice graduate student charged with the killings, poised to start in August, a potential motive is at last coming into focus. It provides the prosecution with a narrative that, like many of the lingering mysteries surrounding the events of that tragic night, has no kinship with conventional reason. Try, for example, wrapping your head around the disturbing fact that 2 survivors were aware of a black masked intruder had entered their house, had heard the accompanying tumult, I can't say that, tumult, yet waited 8 hours before calling 911, rising at about 7:30, and then feverishly away the morning on social media, taking photos and calling parents and friends. It is an explanation, a hypothesis really, that becomes credible only when examined through a different manner of cognition, the inscrutable workings of Bryan Kohberger's mind. At its root, it's a love story of a sort. Once upon a time, the yarn the state is hoping to spin begins. Bryan Kohberger was incomplete. Oh, he had laboriously strived to reinvent his life by the time he had enrolled in the master's program in criminal justice at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. He'd kicked his heroin addiction, lost more than 100 pounds, turned his body into a fortress through exercise, a vegan diet, and boxing, and made his way out of a dismissal or community college. And yet something was still missing. Then he found his calling, forensic psychology, the new science of exploring the dark caverns lurking in the recesses of criminal minds. And as luck would have it, he'd also found an unlikely friend and companion to guide him, Catherine Ramslin. Man, his hands are purple there. A recognized authority in the psychological study of serial killers, a prolific author that recent count 59 books and a familiar face on True Crime Network and cable shows where she reliably can't even say it, sorry guys, reliably brings a measure of academic gravitas to the proceedings, and the professor had done it all. And as Newsweek first revealed at the time of Kohberger's arrest, Ramslin was also his teacher. For a graduate class she taught at DeSales, he'd read her seminal works, Inside the Minds of Serial Killers, Why They Kill, and Confessions of a Serial Killer, The Untold Story of Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer. Wonder if that could have been one of the books they found with underlining on page 119. Remember they found a book in his house? Curious. I wonder what book she's actually like. I mean, I know it's one of the BTK books, but like, which one is she most known for? Maybe that's it. Yet what the prosecution discovered, which has not been previously reported, is that Kohberger's relationship and tutelage with Ramslin did not end when he traveled across the country to enroll in the PhD criminal justice program at Washington State University. He remained her, was this acolyte? Yeah. Kohberger was allegedly emailing his old professor in the days before the murders occurred and in the days immediately after. So, okay. He's saying Kohberger was allegedly emailing her days before the murders happened and then days after. And he graduated from there, 2022? So what did you need her for? 2020, it was like 2021, 2022, right? Yeah, June, criminal justice in June 2022. So what was discussed remains for now at least another mystery. Neither the state nor Ramslin has responded to requests for comment. Nevertheless, Airmail has learned that just hours after Kohberger's arrest, Ramslin allegedly telephoned his mother to offer her wisdom and guidance to help her former student and his family through the looming ordeal. Her offer to act as the cool-headed broker for the Kohbergers was quickly accepted. The Kohbergers supposedly refused to meet with their son's court-appointed Pennsylvania attorney until Ramslin signed off. I probably wouldn't want to talk to him though either. He was kind of weird, his first attorney's what was his name? I can't remember it. It's not coming to me right off the top of my head, but his first attorney was a little out there, but he didn't need to be anybody. I mean, he was just getting him back there. So over the 2 years that followed, the professor allegedly stayed in touch with the family as well as with Kohberger himself, offering sources shared practical advice to help navigate the often overwhelming intricacies of a stern criminal justice apparatus. She's even reportedly conferred with one of Kohberger's sisters, who is said to be writing an insider's account of their wrenching family drama. What's the drama? I mean, like, he said 2 words. Is he talking on the phone? Talking on the iPad? Are we going to have like a Casey Anthony moment? Where she's like yelling at her parents, "Get me out of here. I didn't do this. You guys take the blame." I would like to read that book. In fact, the family has asked her to consider accompanying them to the Boise bed and breakfast that Ann Taylor, the head of their son's defense team, has reserved for them during the course of the trial. So now we know it was a bed and breakfast. Well, now we know it's a bed and breakfast that they're going to be staying at. Hey, Texas Ranger. Oh, Frenchie, 13 months. Oh, thank you for being a member for so long. That's awesome. Squeaky. Like Christmas turkey cooked 4 hours too long. Yeah, Tony, I think the trial is gonna bring a lot of twists and turns too. I can't wait for opening statements. I mean, that they say a lot in opening statements, I feel like. I should actually grab my water that's at the door, but I'll get it in a minute. So, apparently, I mean, nice little bed and breakfast, you know? I wonder if it's like a bed and breakfast or if it's like an Airbnb. Because, a real bed and breakfast, I mean, I would like to say one of those. So, from these facts, the prosecution has embroidered a still speculative account of what allegedly led Bryan Kohberger, armed with his 7-inch steel bladed knife, into the house on King Road. It goes like this. Kohberger wanted to prove that the pupil was ready to become the teacher. He was determined to demonstrate to the professor, who, according to this theory, was the idolized object of his respect and affection, that he'd learn all her lessons well, and while her journey into hell had been judicious, reaching out in letters and interviews to convicted killers, he would charge full speed into the belly of the beast. No passive arm's length academic posturing for this researcher. But even more, he'd kill and get away with it. He'd prove how smart he was, he would show how much he'd learn. And the hypothesis continued. With the raging, crackling anger that was unleashed, Kohberger would demonstrate to the object of his devotion the sacrifices he was prepared to make to win her comradeship. Like John Hinckley, who had tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan to win the heart of actress Jodie Foster, a woman he never met, Kohberger was driven by his own twisted erotomania. Erotomania? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Kohberger 2. What is this? I'm curious now. No. What does it mean? A rare psychiatric condition involving a delusional belief that another person, typically of celebrity status, is in love with the individual. That's what that means. Couldn't put that though. Okay. Kohberger 2 would let his demons run free, and in the end, he'd triumph. His far version would take him someplace where his mentor had never dared to journey, and in the proud aftermath, after all his struggles, he'd at last be complete. What does Ramsland make of it? She's apparently not talking. She's never responded to my emails. No, not just yours. Nevertheless, she might find something in the theory. After all, in another episode in her remarkably accomplished life, she wrote her doctoral dissertation on, what is it? Kierkegaard? Okay, now you're just being silly. Kierkegaard. It was that Danish philosopher who conceded that my writing should be considered a monument to Regine Olsen, a woman with whom he had a brief youthful relationship. Is it too far of a stretch to consider that a killer's logic had made a similar heartfelt journey? What do y'all think? Do you think Kohberger has an infatuation with his teacher and he wanted to commit the perfect crime for her, but then he couldn't tell her because then she would tell the police? But I guess he was ready to go down with that ship. It's just crazy, you know? I'm just reading the chat, sorry. Hey, Courtney. So, yeah, that was a 5-minute read too. They weren't messing around. Okay. When I read that to myself earlier, it seemed like it was going, it went like, I don't know, I kept going back and rereading. That was probably why it seemed like it took longer. I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. So put a 1 in the chat if you think that Kohberger has an infatuation with Dr. Ramsland and he decided, yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to commit the perfect murder for her. But I'm just not going to tell her. Put a 2 in the chat if you think Bryan Kohberger Maddie or one of the people at 1122 King Road was the intended victim. And he went there with the intention of killing those people in that house for that reason. Could go either way. Me too. Yeah, I'm thinking he went in there with a reason, I don't think it was Ramslin. I mean, she's been out of his life for a little while. I guess not that long, but uh, there's other ways to get her attention, I feel like, there's other ways. Well, thank you for becoming a member, dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches. It'd be almost impossible to prove that's true. How he fooled her, yeah, maybe. He did have an agenda, that's for sure. That's for sure. He did have an agenda. Okay. Let's move on. So, there's just a couple things I wanted to read to you guys, and then I was gonna play this video for you. So, the next thing, it's just kinda giving us, an update on everything that's been going on. And then, I thought it was a pretty good read. So we're just gonna kinda skim through it, read through it, and then we'll go to the Reddit post where he, actually did hit the crime scene scenario finale or final finale. It's the finale. Well, might be for him actually, so. Help on how to get away with it, yeah. Man, yeah, I wonder what questions he asked her, like, in school. I wonder if she's going back, like, if I know she's went back and thought, something was weird, like, something he asked her. I mean, even if it's just something that he asked because it was a question, or it was something he just sincerely wanted the answer to. I I think she's probably going back and rethinking everything. Oh, thank you, Clinton, for becoming a member. That's so nice. Thank you. Welcome in. Yeah, he was asking random people for yeah. I can't believe the school allowed that. Some of the questions are like, "What? Huh?" Okay, so I might actually read that out and put it on a small video for you guys too. So, this is News Nation. It says court filings from if you missed, the last couple lives. This just is kind of going over what happened yesterday in the paperwork. But Bryan Kohberger's defense team hinted at who might take the stand during the University of Idaho's killings trial. While Kohberger's trial is set for August, his defense team argued against admitting a number of expert witnesses this month, claiming their testimony could be vague and undisclosed. Judge Stephen Hippler denied their motion last Thursday. The court finds no basis to exclude or limit the expert testimony at this time. So they're not winning a lot. It is clear they will be testifying to the facts of their investigation, not providing traditional expert opinions, the order stated. Who could take the stand in Bryan Kohberger's trial? Several law enforcement and forensic experts were included in the defense's motion. Jenny Ayers, a forensic scientist with the Idaho State Police, was among those on the list. She collects evidence and facilitates the processing of crime scenes. The motion named FBI Special Agent Nicholas Balance to testify about the analysis of the phone records in the investigation. It also listed Heather and Jared Barnhart, who are with the company Cellbrite, as digital experts retained by law enforcement to analyze Kohberger's cell phone and computer. Oh, and his computer. Michael Douglas was listed in the motion. He is a forensic accountant for the FBI to examine the financial activity of Kohberger, the 4 victims, and the 2 surviving roommates. Shane Cox is a litigation and regulatory manager for Amazon. The defense stated he could testify to the Amazon purchase history from January 5th, 2022 to December 13th, 2022 of the defendant produced by Amazon and provided to law enforcement. I can't believe they're going to let them. That's just going to be, they're going to be running around in circles with that guy. Well, he had to put it in the cart, right? Well, yeah, he had to put it in the cart, but you know how that's going to go. Because, I mean, you have to, like, physically, they're trying to say that he dreamt it and it mysteriously ended up in his cart and purchased it. I mean, it's just, it's ludicrous. The motion listed Detective Darren Gilbertson, a lead investigator for the Idaho State Patrol, in the case. It also included ISP forensic lab scientist. The state used several forensic lab scientists for the case. Dr. Gary Dawson, a toxicologist, was disclosed in rebuttal by the state to testify to the degree of impairment of the victims. Not like, I mean, it should really matter, but I guess it does matter because if they couldn't fight back or not, I guess that's why they would use that. The defense also listed Rob Healy, a special agent with the FBI who reviewed surveillance footage from before and after the killings, capturing Kohberger's suspected vehicle. Also included were Detective Lawrence Mowry of the Moscow Police Department, Agent Jeffrey Tanzola, a special agent with the FBI, and Detective Neil Urig, forensic examiner and detective sergeant for the Post Falls Police Department. All are forensic detectives who worked on the case. The defense. So, will the witness list be released before Bryan Kohberger's trial? The defense and prosecution witness list will be kept under seal as per the judge's order. They just did that yesterday, I believe. The defense's motion listed several names of potential expert witnesses for the prosecution who could testify in the Boise courtroom this summer. Will Bryan Kohberger take the stand? That's a good question. Do you think he will? Do you think Bryan Kohberger will take the stand? Now that I don't know. Hey, PJs. I think that if he's okay, like if he's not winning in this case, if it's not looking good for him, and he's going in, I think that he might take the stand. I think that Ann Taylor's trying to try to keep him off of the stand, but I don't know. He's a man of few words, though, so maybe he won't. But if that was me and that was my life on the line, I'd be taking the stand. You best believe that. I would be at the mercy of the court. I love lasagna. It's my favorite. My mom used to make the best lasagna. It used to be my favorite. It still is my favorite, I guess. So, Kohberger's defense team has stated that it is unlikely he will testify during the trial and cited his autism diagnosis as the primary factor. That's not a good excuse. His lawyers are arguing against the death penalty due to his autism and wrote in court filings, Mr. Kohberger's autism spectrum disorder reduces his culpability and negates the why can I say that? I'm not going to try. And different purposes of capital punishment and exposes him to the unacceptable risk that he will be wrongfully convicted and sentenced to death. I cannot speak tonight. Now I need to know what this says. Retributed. I couldn't even get it out. I was like, I was like this, like a deer in the headlights. No, so they're saying that, well, you have to go back to the beginning now. So the motive that it was the Howard Bloom article we read. He came out with a new airmail number 6. He's saying that he feels maybe it's for, like, the reasons were because of Dr. Ramslin. Like Bryan Kohberger maybe has an infatuation with her, and he did this as like the perfect crime. I don't think she would accept. If he told her like, hey, I murdered 4 people for you, I think she'd be like, no, thank you. Like, I mean, but I think that it was I think he had an eye for one of the people in the house. And it says here, the 30-year-old Kohberger faces 4 counts of first-degree murder tied to the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, at an apartment in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022. Goncalves' father, Steve, spoke with News Nation Ashley Banfield about the recently filed court documents that show why the surviving roommates, DM and BF, waited hours before calling 911. And if you want to see the full hour of that, we did go over it last night. The father of the murdered 21-year-old college student said he understood why the 2 roommates called friends before 911. That's definitely a puzzling part of it. I always assume you have somebody scared, girl slightly intoxicated. My own daughter, when my son was playing a prank on her, acting like he was being attacked, him and his mom, Kaylee ran upstairs and hid under the bed and called me at work. When people are scared, they're young. They don't think the same way as grown adults does. And I agree with that. I think they were just thinking that something bad happened here, but they weren't ready to believe it. They weren't really mentally prepared to accept what was happening. And I totally understand that because it's not something that we're used to in Idaho. It's unheard of. And that's the truth. They hadn't had a murder there in 10 years or 7 years prior. was grabbing my drink. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. And sorry my reading has not been the greatest tonight. I even have my glass. I even have my specs on. Maybe I'll get better. Maybe I'll get better with the crime scene. Okay, so I got this off Reddit. It's the crime scene scenario final / finale, if you want to call it finale with me. He wrote this on, or he turned this in anyways, or wrote this because it says it was 5/5/2020. That is, what is that? That's Cinco de Mayo. So we know what he was doing. So Bryan C. Kohberger and then the professor, they redacted the name, but it was just, we just read it in the other document. So Bryan Kohberger wrote this as his final for one of his classes, and we're going to go over it. And it's what he would do if he was approaching a crime scene. So just think, this is Bryan Kohberger talking. Arriving at this crime scene, the first thing to be done is block off the crime scene in order to avoid crime scene contamination. And let me know if he misses anything, if you can think of anything he misses, and I'll try to think too. Keeping people out of the scene minimizes evidence contamination, though many may be curious to see what occurred. The theory of transfer states that we bring something with us to the crime scene and take something away, thus skewing the crime scene from the original state by contamination. This is because the original state of the crime scene was left by the criminal suspect. A lack of contamination allows the scene to be a snapshot in time. The curious must be noted and immediately evicted from the scene. People to be kept out of the scene include unauthorized civilians and any more than the absolute minimal number of law enforcement agents and forensic crime processors. Waiting for backup to arrive, I should stand guard at the scene, preventing these unauthorized people and even holding back eager officers from entering the scene. I must call my immediate supervisor and inform them of the deceased white female who is approximately 35 years of age. I must obtain an initial search warrant to search the scene. Failing to do so will mean that evidence is inadmissible. This is another reason why holding personnel from entering is key. The coroner must be called in order to pronounce the women dead. An EMS should be called if they were not already called by the patrol officer 15 minutes earlier, as they would have provided emergency care if the women showed signs of life. This would have been important for many reasons. Her livelihood is one reason, but from the stance of patrol officer or criminal investigator, she may have given a dying declaration of her attacker when informed of her impending death. Forensic services are next on the list to call, as they are best equipped to handle the evidence, process it, and ensure there is not any contamination. Their van also contains the best equipment for forensic investigation. A cursory search of the immediate area should be done, and any observations should be recorded in my field notes as to ensure the integrity of the preliminary case report. Officers who are not needed at the residence should ensure that the general area is searched for anything that stands out as well. This includes the area of the trailer park, which contains 62 trailers. And the state is bringing this in as saying, he knows how to work a crime scene. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Villanova. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for coming in. I didn't see. Hey, Levi. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit that like button for me. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you guys being here. So the next page, this is the 2-page, because, he's thorough. I will give him that. Wonder what grade he got on this. If there is anyone in the trailer, they should be moved out and questioned. Does she have kids? I should gather the following information in my notes as the investigation commences, which will later be included in my preliminary case report when the details of the case culminate. Can't say that word very well. The offense, the time of day, date, and approximate time of offense is known. Identification of the victim, the location of the offense, the method of operation, if known, and the identification of the officer. Since the offender was not there, I would be unable to record this information initially. and the specifics of time won't be known until confirmed by the crime lab. Getting the approximate time is important and can be indicated by rigor mortis, which sets in at about 12 hours, or putrefaction, which is about 10 to 20 days. All this information will aid me as I attempt to reconstruct the scene of the crime based on the evidence location in relation to its former known position. And then the equipment I will have on hand for the investigation is to be prepared for crime scene investigation. I must ensure I have a crime toolkit containing the following: a 35 millimeter camera or digital camera capable of videotaping with an adequate supply of film and power, a portable lighting system to ensure quality photographs and that I do not miss or step over any evidence, assorted steel tape measures that can reach at least 25 feet, a ruler or other measurement marking devices, latent fingerprinting equipment, gloves to protect the scene from contamination. This will enable that I avoid leaving my latent fingerprints, forceps and small tweezers and a pair of scissors, a small saw to take evidence, for example, drywall. That's pretty interesting. Filter paper or small swabs for liquid evidence or trace evidence, various evidence containers for liquid and solid evidence, paper envelopes for physical evidence, evidence tape to seal off the evidence containers, casting material to take molds of possible footprints around the perimeter with a rubber container for the mixture. A magnifying device should be kept. Crime scene tape for the scene. Protective clothing, boot covers, eyewear, fiber-free overalls, face masks, hair nets, gowns, and anything that will prevent me from contaminating the scene with things I bring in with me. Wonder if he printed this off on his little computer, and had and was just checking the list. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Felicia. I mean, this is looking more like, Rex Heuermann crap over here. Okay, so thank you guys all for being here. I'm gonna this is from a while ago, but I wanted to play it because has to do with Bryan Kohberger and him and going to school at DeSales, and it also has a couple of people that were in school with him, and then at the end it has the people that Christian Martinez, that guy that met him at his apartment, that his dad asked him hey, will you be friends with my friend or my son because he's weird. He didn't say because he's weird, but he said because he doesn't talk to people a lot. I think that's kind of sweet of his dad too. He was trying to help. And then the other guy that I was trying to find this little interview that this guy did, that Salomon John, whatever his name is, he's in this one. And I think that they may try to use him for the defense. I don't know. I've been saying that for a while, and I'll tell you why I think that. Because I'm pretty sure in this video I don't know if they say where they met, but they did meet each other at a trail, and I'm thinking it might have been that Wawa Wee, whatever that park is called, that Bryan supposedly is going to say that he was out the night looking at the stars when the gate closes at dark. But I'm pretty sure that they might try to tie that guy in to that park, and then he could be a witness saying yeah, I've seen Bryan here before, and Bryan could be yeah, see, I've been there before. People saw me there before. I don't know. He could be doing worse, so he could be doing worse.
It's Christian Martinez.
Let me rewind it back. Okay. And then I'll pause it here and there for commentary, but we'll watch this and I'll be in the chat with you guys.
It's a story that's gripped the nation. 4 college students brutally stabbed to death in their off-campus Idaho home. For weeks, no suspects, no arrests, and no murder weapon. Until
detectives arrested 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murder of Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee.
On December 30th, 2022, officials announced the arrest of suspect Bryan Kohberger. the man they say is responsible for the murders of University of Idaho students Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. Weeks before, on November 13th, their bodies were found stabbed to death on the upper 2 floors of their off-campus home.
I'm sure there's statistics out there of, many people pass by a murderer, many people know a murderer. Well, I don't. It's very concerning, and it's very eerie and creepy as well.
It's crazy because literally days after these murders happened, he brought it up when I saw him in the hallway.
To get inside the mind of accused killer Bryan Kohberger, Law and Crime Network began a weeks-long investigation into his past, teaming up with local Pennsylvania news outlet LehighValleyLive.com to walk in the footsteps of the highly educated murder suspect before he moved across the country to Washington.
It's almost too good to be true, unless this guy was miraculously set up, which is like a 1 in a billion chance. No one cares enough about Bryan Kohberger to set him up.
Our investigation began thousands of miles from the Moscow, Idaho
Can't argue with them there.
crime scene in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, where Kohberger grew up.
That's not something that you really expect for a national story to come back to our area.
The Kohberger family home in Albrightsville,
Beautiful.
safely guarded behind the gates of the Indian Mountain Lake development, sits only about 10 minutes away from Pleasant Valley High School, where Kohberger graduated in 2013. But it was about an hour south in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley, where he spent the bulk of his 20s.
DeSales is kind of its own sort of campus outside of Bethlehem in a more rural area, surrounded by a lot of cornfields and small neighborhoods.
Down a winding tree-lined road on the outskirts of the valley is DeSales University, a private Catholic school with less than 5,000 total students.
It's a small school. It's not like it's a Penn State or a Pitt or a Temple. It's a very small school in a cornfield. So if you go there, you know most of the people
Sounds like my high schools.
Within your study, and pretty much everyone that goes to the school. And he was not known.
It's here at DeSales University where Kohberger really got his feet wet in the study of criminology. He received both his undergraduate and graduate degrees here, and DeSales officials tell me he studied in this very building.
Inside the walls of Dueling Hall, then undergraduate Josh Ferraro met psychology major Bryan Kohberger.
At that time, I would have never said, oh yeah, that guy would do something like this. He may have been a little odd or a little off, but other than that, you'd never expect someone to be allegedly part of a quadruple homicide ever.
Ferraro, who graduated from DeSales with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, is a self-proclaimed true crime junkie.
I was following it day one because who hears about 4 college students that are unfortunately murdered, and how do you not want to keep up with that? So I got on TikTok, YouTube, Google, and I vigorously kept up with this case.
It came as a surprise then when Ferraro's one-time classmate was charged in the murders.
And that's why it's shocking to me, because this guy was such a normal dude, average Joe type person. You would never, you don't know what's under people's skin. God forbid if he didn't do it, great. But all the signs point to that he did.
After news broke of Kohberger's arrest, Ferraro recorded his reaction and posted it on social media.
I went to college with Bryan Kohberger. I've been looking at his picture all day. I've been saying the name all day in my head. And I was like, I know this guy. I know this guy. And then he went to DeSales University. I'm like, I know I had a class with him. I know it. The name sounds so familiar.
Back in 2018, Ferraro teamed up with Kohberger for a project on Daphnia, or water fleas. He says they worked together for an entire semester.
He was new, and I said, hey, buddy, do you want to be my lab partner? And that's pretty much what was left, so I took him. And it ended up working out very
Okay, that's a different story than what he told before. And I just took him. No, before he said he walked up to him and asked him if he wanted to be his lab partner.
well.
As a commuter student, Kohberger came and went from campus during his undergraduate psychology studies. Ferraro says he kept to himself and didn't show any outward signs of something more menacing.
It's not always the creepy guy with glasses and oily hair and creeping around the corner. It's sometimes just that average Joe that on the inside, you have no idea what he looks like. But on the outside, he may just seem like a normal person, much like Bryan Kohberger did.
Ferraro instead theorizes Kohberger's alleged drive to kill stems from something on the inside.
I really don't think that there's too many outward telltale signs of someone committing a crime. I feel like it's all mostly internal, which goes back to the blank slate theory and basically how you're raised, what you're exposed to as a child, what your genetics are. That would be predisposition. So like some things you're predisposed to do in life, that's just unfortunate. Your genetics dictate you will be one way. However, the blank slate theory says that dependent on your situation and who you grew up with, what kind of friends you have, how many friends you have, do you have a lover, all these things in combination kind of make you who you are. So it's a combination of both, in my opinion. I'm not a professional. You got to ask Catherine Ramsland.
As a graduate student at DeSales, Kohberger majored in criminal justice. That means both he and Ferraro studied under legendary forensic psychologist Dr. Catherine Ramsland. We reached out to Ramsland for this story and were told via email, quote, "I'm making no statements about Bryan Kohberger and will not be interviewed for any stories that feature him." But months before Kohberger's arrest, Ramsland appeared on Law and Crime Network's podcast, Cocktails and Cocktails.
Have I come face to face with psychopaths? Absolutely. The coldness, the lack of remorse, definitely. So some people call that evil, but we are finding that it might very well be a brain disorder.
In the interview given just 7 months before the University of Idaho murders, Ramsland explained the workings of a psychopath's mind.
The brains of what we call primary psychopaths, who seem to be born with this brain disconnect, are definitely different. And it allows them to be better predators if that's what they choose to be. Not all psychopaths are criminals, not all psychopaths are murderers, but if they choose that, it allows them to be very effective at it because they really don't have any remorse over what they're doing. And they really can be very calculated. They tend to be very reward driven.
But according to forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre, we can't yet label.
Well, what would be Kohberger's reward? That he got away with it? I mean, if he did get away with it, I guess that would be the ultimate reward. But he didn't.
Kohberger as a psychopath or even a serial killer.
Even if he was a serial, even if he does have that, what actually happened was that he was a mass killer, right? That because there was 3+, sometimes it's 4+, depending on what law enforcement agency that you ask, whoever did this should actually be considered a mass killer. But that doesn't take away from the possibility that they are also a serial killer.
We can't even confirm Ferraro's blank slate theory.
The science has suggested that when we're born, we actually do have coding, right? We do have ways in which we are going to be perceiving the world around us. Now, of course, external influences change who we are and how we're going to respond to those things, but we're not necessarily a blank slate.
But according to Ramsland, a motive may be hard to pin down.
So they have a variety of motives, but their personalities tend to have that rigidity and that inability to go with life's hard knocks and to believe that they're entitled to more and that they need to punish people for them not getting what they think they deserve.
Ferraro has his own theory about a motive.
I don't see this as this grandiose thing where he was trying to get away with it. I think he had this compulsion, this need, this necessity to do it. And he's probably always wanted to do it and finally said, F it, I'm going to do it.
At least part of Ferraro's theory seems to be accurate. Kohberger had no run-ins with the law while in the Lehigh Valley.
We had no indication he was here at all. We had no indication he had any interaction with law enforcement at all.
After news broke of his arrest, Northampton County District Attorney Terry Houck says his team reviewed area cold cases for a possible link to Kohberger.
When you have somebody that might have serial attached to their name, you just want to make a check to see if there's any connection since he had contact with the county, and there was none here in Northampton County.
Similar investigations were also conducted in neighboring Lehigh County. We reached out to District Attorney Jim Martin, who declined an interview. But while sitting down with Houck, we learned news of Kohberger's arrest came as a shock for the community.
Obviously, it's the reaction that everybody has. It's like a close to home thing, because then you're watching and people are posting Facebook pictures of him on campus, on some campus close by or something like that.
One such campus is Northampton Community College, where Kohberger made the dean's list and later received an Associate of Arts and Psychology degree in 2018, before his time at DeSales.
Northampton County Community College is a beautiful school, and it's a lot of, it's a well-respected academic institution, and yeah, I mean, I would call it a pillar in the community, and there's a lot of kids that go there.
Kohberger himself commuted about 50 miles from Albrightsville to the college's Bethlehem campus while studying for his degree. Law and Crime Network reached out to NCC for this story to learn more about Kohberger's time at the school. The senior director of marketing and communications replied in part, quote, "This isn't something we'd like to pursue at the moment, and we'll be in touch should anything change." But in an area filled with college-age students, it's possible Kohberger flew under the radar altogether.
He would have been indistinguishable from any of the other college students, young adults, recent college graduates, or graduate students going around the Lehigh Valley. Even if he had a run-in in a bar, that would not have been anything unusual or even really noteworthy. Not until hindsight.
According to multiple reports, Kohberger frequented the brewery Seven Sirens while he attended college in the area. According to the interviews, Kohberger made multiple women uncomfortable, so much so that a record of his interactions was kept, noting that he made staff concerned about his strange behavior. We reached out to the Seven Sirens owner multiple times and never received a response. But Delafiore says labeling Kohberger as a killer,
they're like, we don't want to talk about him.
because of these alleged interactions, may be a rush to judgment.
They may be engaging in that fundamental attribution error where they're linking all of these things to describe who he is as a person, forgetting that there are many different external influences, that it's certainly possible that all of this stuff, that he was being reactionary. And I think that that's also part of, if he did do this, that reactionary aspect is kind of maybe what compelled him to engage in this particular act.
But could Kohberger's connection to criminal justice have played a role in the murders?
The course that I took that stands out is psychological sleuthing, where you basically enter the mind of a killer. She would give you sheets, and basically the sheets would denote and detail a crime. However, you wouldn't know who did what per se or where this was, but you'd have to, it was a group thing, so you'd get partnered up or in groups, and you would go through these activities and basically come up with a theory or a thesis and then challenge it to Dr. Ramsland.
DeSales boasts a robust criminal justice program, promoting hands-on training and courses taught by renowned professors.
They have an entire house, they call it the crime scene house, that is used for simulations for crime scene investigation or collecting evidence or crime scene photography or responding to other emergencies.
But according to court documents, Kohberger's criminal justice studies were important enough for detectives to investigate, recovering a criminal psychology book and DeSales University documents from his parents' home when a search warrant was executed.
The Master of Arts in Criminal Justice is awarded to Carlina Kemery. Jenna Cook. Bryan Kohberger.
We reached out to Kohberger's entire criminal justice graduating class for this story, but his classmates either didn't reply or denied our request for an interview. One classmate told us via text that DeSales University, quote, sent a general communication that suggested everything go through the university as to be respectful of the ongoing situation. The Associate Vice President of Marketing and Communications told us via phone the school did not discourage students to speak with the media, but that she was available to assist in media requests on a case-by-case basis. The school's statement via email recapped Kohberger's majors, the years he completed each program, and confirmed he was always a commuter student.
DeSales is...
Okay, so he was always a commuter student, it said, and his graduate program was completed online. So he did do some of it online. Okay.
Always a commuter student.
DeSales is just such a close-knit and
I wonder how far that is from his house.
Heartfelt community. Like I said, everybody knows each other. And the fact that really no one knows about this guy, he went in and out.
It's a common theme in Kohberger's past, leaving behind little clues about his isolated personality. Multiple people who knew Kohberger tell us he was strange but hardly memorable.
He was kind of awkward, but I feel like you can't just write someone off as being crazy just because they're a little awkward, you know?
Just months after his graduation from DeSales, Kohberger.
It's 58 minutes. Wow. That's an hour and 7 minutes. Or you can go this route, 58 minutes. From Monroe to DeSales. That's a pretty long little commute. Hey, EW.
Kohberger moved across the country to Washington to begin his PhD studies in criminal justice at Washington State University.
It's crazy because literally days after these murders happened, he brought it up when I saw him in the hallway.
Just across the hall from Kohberger's Pullman, Washington apartment lives Christian Martinez. He says Kohberger's dad approached him early on.
The dad was wanting to introduce me to Bryan, and he said something. I don't remember the exact word he used to describe him, but it was something that was he has a hard time making friends, or he's kind of shy, or something like that.
Martinez tells us Kohberger kept up with the murders and even brought them up as a topic of conversation.
He was like, "Oh, did you hear about these murders that happened?" And it was so short after they actually happened. There was barely any news articles out, so there wasn't much that I could have read. So I was like, "Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, of course I've heard about him." And he was like, "Yeah, it seems like they don't have any leads." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, there's not much about it, you know. There's nothing. I have no details really to say." But yeah, and then he's like, "Yeah, it seems like they think it was a crime of passion." Those were the two things he said, was that they had no leads and they think it was a crime of passion.
On top of that, Kohberger may have had a fascination with death.
I mean, if we do go on the Ramsland train and say that he was doing this for Ramsland, maybe that's why he was saying that. You know, they're saying this is something heat of passion. Surely that's not me, you know. Don't look over here.
Or killing.
One thing that stuck out was it was kind of on the subject of what it would take to take someone's life. It was kind of he was trying to see my perspective on I guess taking someone's life.
After the pair were first introduced last summer, Martinez invited Kohberger to a pool party, and they saw each other occasionally after that. At that same party, Zach Cartwright met Kohberger for the first time.
He did seem pretty kind of just socially awkward and kind of hard to carry a conversation with, if I remember correctly. But besides that, he mainly just stood to the side and was really observant, and so much so that based on that one small interaction, he knew exactly who I was maybe a month or so later when I saw him on that hike.
So he saw him at the pool party, and then he saw him a month later on the hike, and he knew exactly who he was. I remember you.
Crossed paths again. Cartwright says it was strange how quickly Kohberger recognized him.
It was really weird how he approached me and the people that I was with, because he acted kind of like we were best friends, or it was like a reunion or something, and he was really excited to see us, and I had no idea really who he was right at that second.
Those two small interactions proved important enough for Cartwright to be interviewed by the FBI after Kohberger's arrest.
I did speak to the FBI at one point. I do believe that they spoke to a lot of people that were at that party. It may be because that was one of his very first times, if not his first time in Moscow.
Martinez and his wife were also interviewed by the FBI. He tells us his wife always felt something was off with the now suspected murderer.
She didn't have a good...
Do you ever notice they don't bring Bryan in with wearing bulletproof vest anymore? They snuck him in pretty much into this, courtroom. We saw him for 2 seconds, just walk out of the van, and then he walked into the door. But I mean, they have the bulletproof vest on him here, but yeah, I don't think that he's wearing one in his other court proceedings.
Good feeling about him, because every time I would tell her I'm going to invite Bryan, because he didn't have any friends. I was trying to bring him out and maybe meet people he can,
or I'm just not seeing it.
To. But she was always like, "No, please don't." There was just something about him that she didn't like.
In recalling their conversations after Kohberger's arrest, some key points stick out.
I guess looking back, it's kind of funny because he was talking about how, what was he? He was talking about genealogy because I was talking about the 23andMe because my sister had just did all that, and then he brought up something similar in his studies that had to do with like being able to catch criminals because of their relatives' DNA, which is I guess how he got caught up in his mix.
The probable cause affidavit released after Kohberger's arrest revealed a knife sheath was left behind at the crime scene containing a single source of male DNA. When compared with DNA recovered from the trash at Kohberger's parents' home, it proved to be a near perfect match. When the FBI interviewed Martinez, they asked whether he had ever seen Kohberger with a similar weapon.
They just asked about like if he had a knife on him or anything like that. If I ever noticed him with a knife. You know, I didn't. He never had anything on him like that.
When Thanksgiving approached less than 2 weeks after the murders, Moscow police announced their investigation would continue through the holiday.
I want to assure you, first off, that the loss of Xana, Kaylee, Madison, and Ethan remains the highest priority for the Moscow Police Department. We will continue putting all of our resources into investigating and solving these murders. Investigators are prepared to work through the Thanksgiving holiday to continue their efforts.
As local, state, and federal police continued on in the early stages of the investigation, Kohberger texted Martinez on Thanksgiving, reading, quote, "Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family."
It kind of made me feel bad because me and my wife were talking and like how I was like one of the people that he made friends with. And then it kind of made me feel bad, you know, like, I don't know. What if it would have made a difference that I had been able to like meet up with him the times that I could have? Like maybe that would have changed anything. If it would have.
No, it wouldn't have.
I don't know.
According to court documents, investigators believe the murders happened just 11 days before Kohberger sent Martinez that Thanksgiving text between 4 and 4:25 a.m. A white suspect vehicle was seen near the home at that time and multiple times after. Investigators later determined it was a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. Weeks after the murders, Moscow police put out photos of an Elantra, saying it was a vehicle of interest. The following week, Kohberger was behind the wheel of his white Hyundai Elantra when he was pulled over by police.
So you're coming from Washington State University? Yeah. And you're going where? Oh. We're going to be going to Pennsylvania. Oh, okay.
Kohberger was actually stopped twice in Indiana, about 10 minutes apart, as he drove cross-country with his father from Washington to Pennsylvania for his winter break. Both times, he was stopped for following another vehicle too closely. When the Pennsylvania search warrant was executed at Kohberger's parents' home, investigators recovered multiple items from the vehicle, including hiking boots, a shovel, goggles, and a wrench. Court documents also show one of the surviving roommates saw the suspect the night of the murders, noting he was 5'10" or taller with bushy eyebrows. Martinez agrees he had a memorable look.
Like every time I would like talk to him, my wife describes it as like a death stare. And like it kind of is like you know, you make eye contact with people, but like you're not like constantly like just staring at him. He would be like constantly like staring at me, like he's just trying to like analyze me. But that was a feeling I would get.
After Kohberger's arrest in Pennsylvania, he appeared in Monroe County Court on January 3rd. Cameras weren't allowed inside the hearing, but Law and Crime Network was in the courtroom where he waived his right to extradition. He was later flown to Idaho and charged with all 4 murders.
It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Lehigh County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder.
Right now, Kohberger is being held in Lehigh County Jail in Idaho without bail. As we await his next court appearance in June, questions about his inner psyche remain.
Still so much to learn about who Bryan Kohberger is, not just as the person alleged to have committed this crime, but just who he is and how he walked through his life. There's still so much to learn that anybody who says that they know who he was, they actually don't. Because my contention is that I don't think he even knew who he was.
Kohberger is due back in court in June for a preliminary hearing that's expected to last multiple days. Law and Crime Network will be in Idaho for the hearing, where both sides are expected to call witnesses and present evidence. For the
Okay, we don't need to listen to that part because we already know. Is Nightbot getting on you? Nightbot might be coming in hot. I need to do the things differently. The timers or whatever. I always forget. Let me write that down actually. I don't even remember how I did them. Yeah, he's in solitary, but he has like they give people iPads now. It's amazing what I guess you get in jail. He gets an iPad, so I think that's how he communicates with his family and everything. But he's definitely in protective custody. He's not going to be housed anywhere near other people. Not, maybe in Ada County he might be around closer to people like that are, segregated. But I think when he was in Lehigh County, he was completely, I think, by himself. But yeah, that's all I really had for you guys for tonight. That was kind of a short live, 1 hour and 15 minutes. I was like, huh, I thought it was going to go longer than that. But we did the airmail article. We already went through the documents. We went through that other article that showed the documents. Oh, I do want to go through this one alive, but it'll probably be a separate one. It's like what the FBI, what evidence the FBI gave the prosecution. We must have went through this document, but I don't remember. Let's see when it was. That probably March 21st, 2023. So that could be it. Could just not be remembering it. But yeah, I saw this and I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Because the prosecution was saying, they didn't have like a breakdown. And obviously I'm looking at one right now. So it'll show us where all the cameras were that he was caught on and all that stuff. So we'll go through that. And then maybe I can even trace it like his car. We can do like some sort of animation or pull it up on maps or something like that, So yeah. Yeah, I think that like you can't use the internet and stuff on the iPads. You can just do it for talking. I don't know. It's just crazy that they use them. Do you remember when Alec Murdaugh took the picture of himself like laying down? Oh my God, it was terrible. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. Well, thank you, Patty. I like your flower. It's a pretty flower. Oh, that's a cute dog. That's a really cute dog. That's a super cute dog. My dog just stretched back there. She's like, oh, you must be talking about me. Watch movies and message back and forth and do video calls and dog calls on the iPads. Baby girl, you might as well just sign me up, 3 hots in a cot. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Knock on wood. I'm just kidding. I don't want to go to jail. I'm just kidding. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I bet he could FaceTime with his parents. Oh, so need to stay on topic. I must have the timer set weird. That's crazy. I know that they get a lot of stuff, baby girl, that they like, it's a lot. I know that like, it's a lot different than, when how I knew it. Never been to prison, but I never heard of iPads until recently, until Alec Murdaugh. And that's when I heard about the iPad and I was like, what? I was like, you gotta be kidding. So like, that's, most people don't even have an iPad, right? Like most people don't even have one. And I wonder what happens if they like, we found out with, Delphi, when he broke his, he didn't get another one for a while. Yeah, he's in solitary. Yeah, so he I think that he gets out like 1 hour a day and it's like for rec, like, and they if he wants to, he can take like a shower in that time or he can go out on the yard. But for the most part, yeah, he's locked up. That's a long time. I don't have enough in iPad. I know, right? Man, I remember getting my first iPad. I had that thing for like 2 years before I used it. And then that's all I use now. It's like, I mean, not this one, but it's like a mini TV. Oh, I don't know what I would do without my iPad, Mary Beth. But I don't watch YouTube on my TV like most people do. Most people, they will like put YouTube on their TV. I can't get it to like, I like to switch channels too often for it to be like on my TV. Like I would need like a keyboard or something and a mouse. That would make it easier. So he has his family that calls him. Yeah, I'm assuming. I don't know if he would have anybody else. I mean, do you think he's talking to his sister, the one that's writing the book? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's the same one that stole his cell phone whenever they were younger, she could be like, hey, you stole my cell phone when we were younger. You owe me. I mean, I don't know. YouTube on your phone. Yeah, I watch it on my iPad and I keep it minimized. I don't even put full screen. My eye's really going to go. Yeah, Felicia, I would. I couldn't do a jail cell. I would like, let me out right now. I couldn't be like one of those people that just go to jail and go to sleep, like just sleep it off or, read a book or whatever. I couldn't do that. I would be like screaming the whole time, get me out of here, let me out. But that's just me. He hasn't said much, but man, a few words. But we're going to hear from him soon. I mean, a little bit. I think we'll hear some things from him. He's going to have to help Ann Taylor with his alibi defense because that's what he's going with. And she said he's not helping her, so she needs to start going through some of that discovery as she's been holding off on. The judge told her, you took on another case. You should have this one. This one should be ready to go to trial. Like, I mean, if this was my case, I'm sorry, call me an overachiever, but if this was my case, I would have already went through that discovery. My whole case would have already been ready. I would have been ready probably a year ago because I'm an overachiever. But I would want everything. I'd have it all perfect and it'd be all coordinated and ready to go. I wouldn't be like, I need some more time to go through the discovery that they gave me. Even though I've had it for 2.5 years, I didn't hire anybody. No, I didn't do that. I didn't tell you about it. No, I didn't do that. So can't do it now. But thank you guys for being here. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to start doing lives on the second channel, so I may go over there either tomorrow or the next day, and do a live over there during the morning. If I do, I'll put it on our community tab over here. That way you guys are aware. And if you're not subscribed over there, it is Unfiltered with Tanya, and it's just a little bit of the life vlog, more of the unfiltered side. So, but thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys all tomorrow evening on the live, if not tomorrow during the day. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how.